Well, I'm left with this is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Daniel Hammond. Daniel, are you ready to do this?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Daniel is the managing partner of Customer Driven Leadership. He's an entrepreneur, a speaker, a philanthropist, and a veteran of the United States Army. Daniel, thanks for your service. Excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Fantastic. Thanks, George. So I'm married to Carolina Batras, who's an amazing wife, mother, and entrepreneur. We have two amazing kids. They're adults, Alex and Maria Gabriella. My wife and I love to travel, hike. I have a passion for board gaming and scuba diving. And besides my partnership in customer driven leadership, I also own Ethereal Rodent Cyber Consulting, which delivers cyber exercises, which are kind of fire drills for networks. Gives leadership teams an opportunity to think through being hacked without actually being hacked. I published 3 collaborative books in the last 12 months. I was the lead author on both Customer Driven Leadership Legacy Edition, which is how to win with entrepreneurial servant leadership, responsiveness to client data, and constant creativity, as well as kind of the how to guide for CDL, Customer Driven Leadership Implementation Guidebook. I also was part of a collaborative work out of a community I'm with called BIP100.club, called Success Secrets of Disruptors. My chapter was Let's Get Uncomfortable, where I challenge people to continually grow. And I think strong growth makes us a bit uncomfortable. So I'm a certified member with Maxwell Leadership, a 10X Ambition client at Strategic Coach. I volunteer at my church, currently acting as the international mission lead and bass player at our contemporary service. I also lived 5.5 years in Honduras, helping my wife with her textile export company, teaching scuba diving, and I also ran a top tier physical security company for a while. An anecdote that might be interesting to your audience is I've been blessed to work with cabinet level officials in 4 countries in 4 completely different job roles. How's that?
So many questions. We all have the same 24 hours in a day kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Is when I say that, what kind of goes through your mind?
Daniel's all over the place. Yeah. And in some ways, I enjoy that. Um, I'm the guy that runs toward fires, and I love to come where entrepreneurs are having challenges. I was an interrogation instructor, and I like to interrogate their problems down to solvable small issues. And so I do that in a variety of ways through consulting and through customer driven leadership, which is an operating system for organizations that really help the leaders of that organization grow that organization by empowering their people, being responsive to what their customers are thinking and feeling, and taking care. Really, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are running around solving the problems of their organizations, and that's really not the best use of their time. If you empower your people and trust your team, they'll solve the problems before they ever get up to your level. And that's what customer driven leadership uh, is and does.
When you are interrogating problems down to solvable parts increments, how does that normally, is it that people are telling, that we're telling ourselves stories about the problem, making it so much bigger? Is there a common thread?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is we have blind spots, and everybody has them, including me, including me. And when somebody takes the time to ask you, tell me what's going on and why is this a problem, and you start thinking about it in new ways. And really, whether you're interrogating, war criminals and trying to figure out, first of all, how can they help you, and then B, how can you get to the most important information that they have? You're looking for how things all connect together. And that's what I do. I get, there's entrepreneurs where I say, just walk me through your entire process. And I just ask them questions. Well, what if this happens? And how would you handle it if a customer, had a problem in this particular space? I did the same thing with cyber in my cyber stuff, right? It's asking them, what have you done to prepare for a cyber attack? Right. And if you had to pay a ransom, would you consider paying a ransom? And then I like to ask them questions like, so you wouldn't pay $1 to save everybody's job and to protect your client's data, right? And so those challenging questions, right? A lot of people will just go, I'd never pay a ransom. Well, they haven't really thought through it, right? Would you really let the business die, or would you make a strategic decision in the moment?
The difference between war criminals and entrepreneurs.
um, well, yeah, I think my experience with war criminals are, they live in their own blind spots, right? And they're making decisions based on what they think is best for them and potentially their countries. And I think entrepreneurs do that as well. I think it's super important to be clear in your values. And I would like to hope that entrepreneurs do that better than war criminals. Great question, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I mean,
and
I
I grade people for their questioning, right?
I think there's so much value in having a good question and trying to get to the heart of the problem. And you're not, perhaps with a war criminal, were you ever manipulative, and obviously you're not doing that with client, but you're trying to get them to the desired solution.
Yeah. I fortunately was, everything I did was Geneva compliant. And while deception is authorized within the framework of what's legal and right, didn't need to do that. Really, in fact, I would say that when you care about people and you're building common ground with them, and that's what you need to do to get somebody really cooperative with you, being honest is the best approach. And especially given where I was, people lived in fear of saying the wrong thing to the wrong person their entire life. And so, a more fear-based approach where you kind of build on anxieties, wasn't a good strategy. I saw that right away, and really got to the point where, I had a reputation of being honest and trustworthy. When I told them I would, escalate something that they were concerned about, I did. Things got changed, and I got a reputation such that when I walked into the prison camp, people I didn't know would like wave to me, and these are prisoners, right? And that was humbling, but I think it also shows that if you truly care about people, you can find the common ground with them. And I do the same thing when I work with entrepreneurs. It's not about the services I have to offer. It's how can I best serve you? And that really is, and sometimes it's not the place where they think it is. Sometimes, you know, I would say what I like about customer driven leadership is, when you are leading the organization, you are always making the best decisions that you, given the information you have, but you have blind spots and you have things that you're unaware of deep within your organization. But with customer driven leadership, it brings all of the good ideas and the visibility across the organization to you as a leader, so that you're making better decisions with less blind spots, and they're helping you. I mean, if you ask somebody, hey, do this task for me, you're not giving them the freedom to innovate and find out. Whereas if you tell them, I need to accomplish this, and then you have the power to do that, you can be more innovative. And there's just been times like in the military where I've been told to do a task that was less effective than the way that I could have accomplished the mission had I been given the freedom. And sometimes I may have colored out outside the lines a little bit at the risk of serious repercussions, right?
I think that makes a lot of sense. making sure that everything is based on what our objective is through our values, and that we are confident enough that we have that we're confident enough in ourselves and our ego as the entrepreneur or the CEO, and confident enough in our people to give them the autonomy to complete the task in whichever way they see fit.
Yeah, and within a guided framework, right? That's the thing, right? So that's the other thing customer driven leadership is you tell them where the lines are so that they can color within the lines and know when to escalate things when it exceeds the authority you've granted them. It's a genius system. I didn't create it. My partner is an organizational psychologist, Ted Anders, and my ability has always been I can look at a system and I can tell you where it'll break and where it's weak. And I saw his system and I thought, holy cow, I can see how I can gum it up for a month. But after a month, you take a snapshot of the entire organization and it says, here is the problem that you have right now. And so, you know, it, whatever I did to gum it up in less than 30 days, they're going to have a map to this is what needs to be solved.
Well, that I think that sounds incredible, especially if we're underachieving and we're just pulling our hair out trying to figure out where the bottlenecks are or how it is being gummed up. Um, so how does it? I guess that sounds great. Sounds almost too good to be true.
Yeah, it does make it challenging. I think if you think of the other operating systems that are out there for organizations, a lot of them have a framework where they invite you, if you're the right type of business to fit within their framework, to come into their framework, and their framework will manage things according to their systems. Whereas we go into the organization and say, how do all of the teams within your organizations serve each other for the good of the customer? And then we empower all of those connections by asking those questions like, Team A, you serve Team B. Go to Team B and ask them, what's the one thing I can do better to help you do your job better? And then we create a metric around that. It's never touchy feely stuff, but it has to be pre-negotiated. It can't be, Team B saying, well, I want you to be 10 times more effective. It's got to be something, unless Team A is really scraping the barrel, that's not very likely. But they negotiate and I can give you 20% better. Oh, okay. Well, what does that look like? And so we create what we call care abouts that measure these connections. And so what that does is you're incentivized, you're given some sort of reward in an entrepreneurial organization. Money is usually a good motivator. I mean, and think about it this way. If I'm telling my people, here's my organization today, and here's where I want it to be in the future, if you help me get there, I will share the rewards of that journey with you, right? It makes them advocates and passionate about helping you be successful. And would you rather go into battle knowing you're the best warrior in the world, or would you rather go into the battle knowing every soldier understands the mission and wants to help you deliver on what's critical?
Yeah, certainly. I think that the more skin in the game, for lack of a better term, you can inspire or give to the folks that are working with you, your employees, the more success you're going to have.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. We quantify that. We create the system that allows them to see, hey, by putting in a little more work or thinking things through about how can I do things better. Great question that I like to ask people is, if you weren't told how to do your job, how would you do it? How would you accomplish the things that need to be accomplished here? And again, if they don't have the systems in place, we can help them get the systems in place. If they don't have good, what we call high performing teamwork, which really, the difference between a group, a team, and a high performing team is a group is there to do a task. A team is there understanding their roles and responsibilities, and a high performing team is specialized and they know, for example, unlike most people, Daniel wants all the problems of the organization to flow toward him because that's where I love to solve problems. That's, most people don't want problems. I hate to run out of problems. So, you know, yeah.
When you talk about the care abouts or cares abouts, Is that prioritizing?
Yep. So yes, we have three types of care abouts. There's team to team care abouts, which we call community care abouts. And they're not KPIs, but they should impact your key performance indicators. And it might be, can I get 20% more effective from team A to team B, delivering widgets or whatever it is. The second one is, that's customer care abouts. Community care abouts are internal to the team, where now you and I are on the same team, George. How can I give you feedback where I see that you're not delivering the way the team needs you to deliver? And basically it's a randomized anonymous survey where we can give feedback to each other. So as the team becomes responsible, how do we hold each other accountable? So, for example, you could say, Daniel, when you don't greet a customer that walks into the facility, you're not living out our value of such and such. Okay, I get a hit for that. It reduces my score, and I have something to work on. Now I know somebody cares about that within my team, and I'm not doing it with enough, and so it hurts the team. So now I have the choice. Do I want to get on board and be a better team member, or do I not? And then the third care about is really the leadership. So we have an inverted hierarchy. So basically flips the organization, and you're evaluated by the people you serve. So a team leader makes a commitment to the team to do things in certain ways, and then they're held accountable by the team. Were you there in this way that you said you would be, so that I can do my job and serve the customer?
I love it. Tools and that you would walk through the facility and have the prisoners wave, "Hey, Daniel," I think is evidence that you approached it in a very, very honest way, and that you delivered on the things that you said that you were going to do. So you actually developed trust with people who would have ever thought you could develop trust with. And then you're also providing surveys to the employees of an organization to allow them to give their honest feedback and assessment, because you probably can't have the same kinds of interactions with each employee. Um, how
Yeah.
how
So what this does is it's a system where every month you're taking snapshots, and that feedback is flowing up, right? So even if you don't see it, a couple of ways you'll become aware of it. One is the leadership will get called out for not supporting, or a team will have a low score. And then what happens is you look at the map of the entire organization and you say, where is the lowest? Where are we improving the least? Or potentially we start on a 5-point scale, 0 to 10, but basically we're using 2.5 as the starting point. And so that we know, did it get worse? Because that's not what we want, right? But even if, let's say, everybody gets a 10 across the organization, somebody's got a 7.5. If that's your lowest score, you go into them and say, as a leadership team, how can we help you? How can we bring the problem solving of the entire organization to help you and empower you to grow with us?
Got it. I love it. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they take advantage of your work with customer-driven leadership, with the cybersecurity? Where can they find your books? Give us everything.
Sure. So books are on Amazon, whatever country you're watching in. We'd love feedback from anybody who takes the time to read the book. We also are at customerdrivenleadership.co. And if, I would invite people to book a call and just, ask me your questions, tell me where you are. I'd love to see if I can provide some value for you in a 20, 30-minute call. And then LinkedIn is the best place to kind of find me and check in on what I'm doing at. You'll find me at if you Google Daniel Hammond at Customer Driven Leadership, but it's Daniel.L.Hammond, I think.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this much,
I'm not too active. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not too active on Twitter, but I'm a disruptor for good on Twitter.
Okay, love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Daniel your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to customerdrivenleadership.co. Check out the great resources and schedule a time to chat and figure out if they can help you get further along the road and find those blind spots and just find the success you're looking for. Pick up Daniel's books at Amazon. I'll list that in the notes of the show, and LinkedIn and Twitter as well. Thanks again, Daniel.
Thank you, George.
And until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.